Hi, I'm Dr. Drew and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is a channel not on medicine, but on all the other aspects needed to live our medicine lives. Today we're going to be talking about the infamous capital stack, which is a very important concept to understand if you're anywhere inside the investment world. And so what is a capital stack? Essentially, it is a concept that describes the various layers of financing that make up an investment. Specifically in the world of real estate, although it is used very commonly in various other asset classes, including corporations, as well as angel investing and venture capital. The capital stack typically includes equity financing, debt financing, and various other forms of financing such as mezzanine financing. So let's go ahead and see in the example here. So essentially, if you have 100% of an investment, generally for most people, it's hard to essentially pay cash for the entire investment. A certain amount of investment is borrowed. So in the case, let's say for the sake of example, you bought a rental property and you borrowed 80% from the bank. And so what the bank does is it takes interest from you for giving that money, and it describes that particular money that it gives you, 80%, as senior debt. And so essentially, anything above that is considered mezzanine debt, although most banks, especially A lenders as they're called, don't allow any form of debt to be placed over their debt because they want to protect their investment, and it goes back to the banking function principles of collateral. So for the most part, you're still short by 20% for that rental property. That 20% is the money that you put down as a down payment, which would be classified, for the sake of argument, as equity. We won't get into the specifics of common equity or preferred equity, which is more useful in venture capital or angel investing or certain real estate investments. But essentially, if that asset defaults in any way, what happens is the first person to get paid is the person at the very bottom, which would be the senior debt, which is the bank. That's why they take the least amount of risk, and they want to ensure preservation of capital, which is what the function of banks is for the most part. We won't get into mezzanine debt for now, but the next step, if there is any money left over in the investment. So if you, again, bought a $100,000 house, for example, you put $20,000 down, you took $80,000 from the bank. Let's say for whatever reason, the value of the house has gone down to $90,000 and you're no longer able to keep the rental property. The bank will essentially take possession of the house, sell the house to ensure that it gets its $80,000 back. And the money now that is left over, which is $10,000, is the money that you would get back. Now you put in $20,000, but you're only getting $10,000 back. And that's because that is the risk of being on top of the ladder. So while as someone who is on top of the ladder owns the asset, they own the asset, even though they only put 20% down. They, however, are taking a higher amount of risk for owning that asset and only putting a small amount of money down. And that's why they lose that $10,000 out of the $20,000 that they put down. But why would anyone want to do that? I mean, it's important for physicians to understand the capital stack, because you may have an interest in investing into real estate or other asset classes like venture capital, real estate development projects, or angel investing. And so this is the first concept to understand when you're getting into the investment world. And understanding the capital stack can help you make informed investment decisions with regards to your risk and return profile of your investment. So why would you, again, put 20% or $20,000 down to own an asset that costs $100,000? Well, it provides you rental income, and over a long period of time, your tenants have essentially paid the mortgage, and you now own an asset that you have paid down that 80%. So again, that $100,000 house, your renters or tenants are paying that $80,000 down, not yourself, unless you're in certain markets, but that's not possible. And at the end of the day, you would own an asset where you paid off the $100,000, but in that period of time, the property even goes up in value to maybe even $200,000. So now you paid off $80,000 to own an asset that is $100,000 when you bought it, that now costs about $200,000. So you can see that you only put $20,000 down, but you got $200,000 asset, right? As long as you obviously execute the business plan quite well, which would be, I think, 1,000% return. Again, I'm not good at math, but basically you're going from 20,000 to 200,000, which is a pretty good return. And so that is the reason why people want equity investments, because it has a higher upside, but a way more downside because of the risk. While as banks are more than happy to keep the downside low for a small amount of interest, because they play a large volume. So what it is they provide more loans and more secured debt in such a high volume, like millions and billions of dollars, that they can take, 1% of $1 billion will be way better than 10% of $100 million any day. In the short term, obviously in the long term, you will come out ahead, but you need to survive that long term. And we have seen, there's recessions every 12 years and so on and so forth. We won't get into that. So hopefully this helps you understand why the capital stack is important to understand. So how can physicians use the capital stack? Well, we're just past 5 minutes, but you can make informed decisions about the type of financing that is best suited for your investment needs, and allow you to understand the risk return profile. You may want to take debt financing or debt investments because it provides a lower return but lower risk, while as you may want to sometimes take equity investments because it's higher return and higher risk. So it's important to understand those various components of the capital stack. Again, we won't get into preferred equity and mezzanine debt here. I'll make separate videos on that, and that is more useful for angel investments that have kind of terms that convert debt to equity, kind of conversions, something called a convertible debt option. Again, we won't get into that for this purpose. So a few action items. If you'd like to take back control of your time and money using frameworks used by affluent physicians, then check out the links in the description below. I make these videos because I'm passionate about fighting burnout in 10,000 physicians, and this is my legacy of passing on that information, and I know that it'll be useful for my future generations. Come and join my community of like-minded physicians in my free Facebook group, where we share cheat sheets, resources, and everything in between to live our best medicine lives. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you for taking care of your patients. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you like these videos. I'll see you in the next episode.